Welcome, guys, to our Sports Frenzy podcast review and preview show. I'm your host, Josh, and tonight we have on set Sherwin Banton, the Arsenal and French fan from Canada, and we have Ron Ham, the Arsenal and French fan from the US. So, two overseas France, French, and Arsenal fans. So, big up, guys. Big up to those in our comment section thus far. I'm seeing Michelle. Good night, Michelle, and big up Dima. And our show is brought to you by Let's Care Medical. They're at Shop 5 Mandeville. That's Juicy Plaza Mandeville, as well as in Santa Cruz and Montego Bay. So welcome guys to the show. How are you doing?
Not bad, Josh. Thanks. Thanks for having us.
Good so far.
All right. Today was another good day in World Cup. A lot of goals earlier on, especially earlier on. Our first matchup was Cameroon versus Serbia. 3-3 draw. What you made of that game, Mr. Ham?
It was an interesting game. When we were previewing the Cameroonian team, we all agreed that it was a team that if they got it right, they would score goals. But our issue, and it still remains, is the fact that they concede in equal measure. And they scored three, but as you rightfully alluded to, they conceded three. And let's get right into it. On the eve of the match, Andre Onana decided that he wasn't going to relent to the instructions of Rigobert Song. For the viewers, Rigobert Song, former Cameroonian defender, hard nose, used to be one of those old-fashioned defenders. Matter of fact, has the dubious distinction in inverted commas, of being one of two persons along Zinedine Zidane for being sent off in two separate World Cups. So hard nose instructed Onana that want you to go along with the back kicks and to stop taking risks. No, it's an issue because Onana, if you know, recently transferred to Inter Milan, right? And before he was at Inter, he was at Ajax, and before Ajax, he was at Barcelona. Now, people who follow football, those two teams, they tend to have a propensity to play out from the back. And he decided that this is my way. I am not going to cease and desist from doing this. Samuel Eto'o, the Cameroonian legend, now the president of the FA, stepped in, and to no avail, he couldn't get them to have a reconciliation. So Onana packed his bags and decided to leave. So the reserve goalkeeper was called into action. Didn't necessarily come himself in glory. Serbia, we know as well, they have issues because their strike force, they have injury concerns. Cameroon got the early goal, and then they conceded twice on the stroke of halftime. I guess they were probably thinking, guys, that they were already in the dressing room, and they conceded twice, and then they conceded a third goal shortly after the interval. But they showed some resolve, and this is one thing that we spoke about on the show a couple of times, that their best players are arguably, well, aside from Onana, who was absent, are their attackers. And the challenge for Rigobert Song, for me, would be to fit all of these players into the same lineup. We're talking about Vincent Abubakar. We're talking about who was the leading goal scorer at the AFCON, and you figure that you should find a place for him in the starting level. Choupo-Moting, who plays through the middle, Mbeumo, who is a new addition from Brentford, and also Carlo Toko Ekambi. And they finally had the four of them on the field, and two quick goals were scored. But what was puzzling for me, Josh, was the fact that shortly after they got the third goal to equalize, he started to effect changes. That Song took out Toko Ekambi, he took out Mbeumo. And with that, I felt they lost the momentum there because Serbia was right there for the taking, because they had them on the ropes and they were struggling to pick up the runs from deep from people like Abubakar, because twice we saw where he sprung the offside trap, and one he scored and the second one he laid on for Choupo-Moting. So I think Song got the change right in that he did put Abubakar on But then I think he basically caused his team getting the 3 points by taking off two of his most potent wide attackers.
And before I go further, a special happy birthday to one of our main analysts and normally cricket podcast host, Dima. Dima seems so today Dima is celebrating his over 30 plus birthday. So big up Dima on your birthday, and I hope that your day has been great thus far, and the remainder will be great. And wishing you many many more. Yes, over to you, Mr. Bones. What you mean of that game?
Milk not come off of them man them out yet. Man them over 30 all now. Anyways, you interesting comments by Ham in regarding Oana or whatever his name is. Everybody know my pronunciation really off. I see people in the I think Pepe Paul saying in the comment section that old fashioned football done. I'm in agreement with that a little bit, but what I'm not in agreement with is a lot of one of the problem with the African teams and the African players is that they go these players who are so-called stars in their club teams now go to their national team and believe that whatever they don't have to listen to the coach,
Uh, but,
right?
sorry to cut, but just to add to what you're saying, the funny thing here, the ironic thing here is that the coach in question, Rigobert Song, he also had his fair share of run-ins with managers while playing for Cameroon. I remember in 2009, Paul Le Guen had taken the captaincy from him and given it to Samuel Eto'o, and then he was now on the bench, and that was a big issue because for the majority of his playing career for Cameroon, he was a sure starter and for many occasions the captain. So it's not like this is something that is isolated.
Mhm.
Even the
Yeah.
manager himself has had these issues.
Yeah, and it has been an ongoing problem for the African teams. I think one of the best African team that we've seen in our lifetime here, in our span. Like I'm talking about I watched the 98 World Cup, but I'm talking like World Cup that is more familiar to us, 2002 World Cup coming up, right? Let's start from there, right? I think the Ghanaian team of 2014, when Suarez he backs the ball out of the goal,
So
2014, right?
2010.
2010. I think that was one of the best African teams that we saw in terms of there wasn't a lot of rumors spreading about them. They were together. They were playing together. They were they were led by Gian. He was absolutely brilliant fighter. Everything they wanted something out of that World Cup, right? But Suarez stole it from them. Anyways, yeah, it's always some sort of something else with these African teams. Every single World Cup is just something different, something else. And you
Uh,
are
sorry to cut again, but just to give you some information, as you mentioned that, because it's good that you mentioned that, and the fact that Ghana will have to play Uruguay, so it just spices the pot. But in relation to that particular incident, um, when the penalty was supposed to be taken, the nominal penalty taker was actually the captain, but the captain had been ravaged by injury. That's Stephen Appiah.
yeah,
And then there was this almost jostle for the ball because Gian wanted to take it, but it was really the purview of the nominal penalty taker who was Steve Napier, but because he had fallen on the pecking order because he was so injury prone by then, and because we all know what happened. Gian missed the penalty. It
right.
out and they lost in the shootout. So there were issues in the aftermath because persons were saying that if Gian had relented and allowed Appiah to take the penalty, then chances are they would have secured passage into the semi-final. We are so correct, and we have seen this time and time again. They are their own enemies. Many times we find that they have good enough teams to make good runs, but then there is some issue or the other, whether player versus player or player versus manager in this case or coach.
And
Yeah,
you can find that, as Bones said, you can find that every single World Cup, at least one African team,
at
there's
least
going
one.
to be some controversy.
Every
Or,
every
or
every World Cup.
issue with money, or but there's some issue.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
always, yes, a lot of time is the issue with non-payment
right,
and
right,
issues between their football association with along with the players, normally like something that JFF normally have with our players. So issues
right.
like those.
Yeah,
Um, yes,
it,
both.
it, it, it yeah, no, yeah, it's sad. But pertaining to the game, I think Cameroon did well to come back into the game. They gave themselves a fighting chance and match their three to qualify. So that's good for them. It was and even the second goal by what's his name um the second goal for Cameroon.
Abu Bakr.
Yes, Abu Bakr. This guy was come out and said that he's better than
Uh,
Mohamed Salah. Anyways, yeah, I think that's a testament of play until you get that call, yeah. Because in some cases, players would have stopped because he thought it was offside, and then he just finished the chance, and in the end, turned out to be a match saving goal, right? Because they got a momentum after that and they went on to equalize. Some good goals scored. Very exciting game. And I think the Serbians will be kicking themselves that they allowed the game to get away from them. But such is life. I think it was a very interesting, very exciting game in my opinion.
Josh, I saw Pepe mentioning that as well. The player who came on, Basagog, I thought he was too predictable. Always trying to come back onto his left foot, and I think that really solid the momentum of the Cameroonian, because the Cameroonian team had the win behind the heels and they were G'd up, but then I thought that those changes really affected them. And another thing, I think their supposed playmaker in midfield, Zambo Anguissa, he didn't look anything of that note today. I think he was one of their worst players, and he was duly substituted. Strange that Serbia took off Milinkovic Savic later. Not sure if he got injured or he was just winded, but I figured that someone who had left such a big mark on the game probably should have stayed on right up until the end of the game.
Right, and sticking with you, Mr. Ham, with our second game, was South Korea versus Ghana. Another African win, a team from Africa with a victory. 3-2 was a very entertaining game as well as dramatic at times. What you make of that particular
It was
part
a
game?
dramatic game indeed, because when the
Very
game started,
dramatic.
South Korea, South Korea was the team that was in the ascendancy. They were pushing Ghana back, and Ghana was reduced to playing on the counter attack. And you figured that if a goal came in the first 20 minutes, then it would likely have gone to the South Koreans. Ghana weathered the storm, and then they grew into the game. And I've been one of the biggest critics of Jordan Ayew, but today his delivery from out wide was very good. And special mention to the second goal that scored, that Ghana scored, the one from Kudos.
Mohammed?
Yes, Kudos is first goal, which will be the second goal for Ghana. It was after a lot of passes. I think probably 30 passes, and this hasn't been mentioned, but they had possession for so long, and eventually that was a telling delivery. South Korea, they came back into the game. They scored two quick fire goals, and I thought that the insertion of Lee Kang In was instrumental, and it's strange that he can't find a place into the starting 11 guys, because this is a player who has long been heralded as the biggest talent in South Korea. Actually won the Golden Ball at the last under 20 World Cup, and so it's a player who is really highly regarded, and plays for Mallorca. Didn't necessarily settle at Valencia, but big talent. And I thought his delivery from out wide was very good in the second half. But Ghana, they stuck to their guns. Another team that you fancy will score goals, but you're not sure how many they will concede. And Inaki Williams fluffed his lines, guilty chance, but luckily for him, Mohamed Kudus was there to spare his blushes. And Kudus, I think, is on borrowed time at Ajax. This is a player who is very good. I've seen links with him with a number of top European clubs, and I think his move will come very soon. A player destined for the top. 22 years old. He has shown it in the Champions League. He has 4 goals for Ajax in the Champions League. Doing it on the World Cup stage. I think he's a very big talent on their hands.
Bones, what I made of this game?
You know, the funniest thing about this game is, as soon as I started watching the game, South Korea equalized. And it was just weird because I was following the game, and Ghana leading 2-0. Thought they were a little bit comfortable in that position. But, you know, I have to pick up Ghana's number 5. What a baller. Straight baller, Ghana number 5. That man can't, one of the best in the position that he plays right now. Yeah. And I think he's a driving force for this Ghanaian team, because he's breaking up plays, he's propelling the team forward, and I think that's good for them. Yeah. So
And guys, you must know which player he's talking. Once he said number 5, you guys supposed to have an opinion that likely that he's talking about his Arsenal player, Thomas Partey. So just to let you guys know. I continue, Bones.
anyways, yeah, he was instrumental in Ghana's third goal, and that was really good. He was playing really good. So you know, it was very good, but Ghana should be thankful that when that ball came across, I don't remember the player that basically made an attempt and the ball went straight over his foot.
Inaki Williams.
Inaki Williams. Ghana should be thankful that happened.
Yeah, make mention of that. Continue.
I made mention. Okay, but you know, it was a good finish. It was a good finish in the end, and Ghana for me, they fought, and the South Korean team, they will run, they will press really high, and you know, they got I think they got enough chances to could have gotten something from the game as well. But you know, good enough game, very exciting game, and yeah, I think both teams still alive. I think yes, I think both teams still alive in with a chance to qualify. So Ghana really needed that 3 points, and they got it. So yeah, good game.
And sticking with your Bones, our next game was Jamaican, a team that Jamaicans love and a team that Jamaicans hate, right? So yeah, it's like a half and half, a split, right? And once again, there was a lot of noise on the road here in Jamaica when they scored that goal. Brazil versus Switzerland. What you make of that match?
All I can say is the noise will soon be cooled. I don't see this Brazilian team. I don't see this Brazilian team having enough to win this World Cup. I don't see them having enough to win this World Cup. The furthest this Brazilian team will go is quarterfinals, right? And as I predicted last night, Germany, Spain, France will be in the quarterfinals. I'm just thinking about who I'm just thinking about who is worse between Netherlands and Argentina to be the next semi-finalist. So let's see
Yeah.
who will
And
start playing.
Brazil is slated to play Spain in the quarterfinals.
Right. So, and I'm saying Spain will win that game and go to the semi-finals. Right. This it. Listen, for me, there's nothing clicking for Brazil up front right now. There's nothing, and if the Brazilian fans are really true to themselves, they will say the same thing. There's nothing clicking for Brazil up front right now. When with the quality that they have, the Vinci, the Rafinha, who I think has been poor last two games. I think he should get a bench now. He should get a sit down. Yeah, the Richards, well, he's a sometime-ish guy. Yeah, all of those qualities up front, and they're basically not producing what we expect them to produce. Yeah, even with Neymar in the team the first game, I didn't think they did that well up front as well. So it's not like Brazil is not known for being a really solid defensive team. Brazil attraction is always in their attack.
But their fans are celebrating or
Hey,
making
listen, nothing in that to
that
celebrate,
one
Josh.
team have a shot on target
Josh, nothing in that to
against them, right? So
celebrate.
you're
You,
saying
you,
that
you,
no team's having a shot against them.
you play against a conservative Switzerland and you play against a Serbian team who sit 12 man back at the ball, because maybe all their coach did in at the defense line too. Yeah? There is nothing in that to celebrate about. Yeah? Let us see when you come up against the Spain of this world in the quarterfinals. If you make it to the quarterfinals, let's see what happens there. Because these teams not going to come around and laugh up with 45-year-old Thiago Silva and all of these guys. You're crazy, but no shot on target. No, that the Brazilian fans need to be true to themselves tonight. They are not playing the type of football that we expect them to play as a World Cup favorite. World Cup favorites like France in 2018 played the type of football that you expected them to play, and they went on to win the championship. This Brazilian team is very poor. They are not clicking. They are not clicking, and the Brazilian fans will soon realize that what I am saying. Too much love to the Brazilian team from
Pepe Paul, a Brazilian fan, is saying there's no need to be kicking in the first round.
Oh, yeah. There's no need to be clicking in the first one. That's why Germany went out the last World Cup and practically on the verge of exiting this World Cup as well. So there's no need to click in the first one. Absolutely rubbish statement. Don't rubbish by you, Pepe Paul. Rubbish, garbage. Yeah. So listen to me now. This Brazilian team, it is not click for me. I mean, and because me like Brazil, because right now me I get to love Casemiro, my boy Martinelli over there, Gabriel Jesus over there. Me love Brazil team, but what we expect this Brazil team to do, they are not doing it, and the big teams will get a run at them, and the big teams will beat them. Hence, why I'm not giving them a chance to make it to the semi-finals. Switzerland did all they could. Casemiro, beautiful goal, beautiful finish, and it basically gave Brazil a sort of ease going into the next round of fixtures. Now they can rest some players. Well, I don't even know if it's resting, because if you go to the bench, it's the same quality coming off the bench for the next game, right? But yeah, they're super talented, and I just want to see them clicking. Please, Brazil, just click. Let me say that yes, you're ready to win this World Cup. Right now, you're not even close to winning this World Cup based on the performances of France, the performances of Spain. You are nowhere near their level right now. I'm sorry. That's just my honest opinion. Nowhere near their level.
And Casemiro scoring that goal does solidify the point that Manchester United players has been doing very well.
Yeah. Have your moment.
All right. Mr. Ham, what you made of this game?
It was just like we expected. Switzerland
And just
would.
to let you guys know that Mr. Ham called this game correctly, that Brazil would have won 1-0.
Yes,
So he called it exactly like how the game.
figured Josh that it would have been a slow burn that Switzerland would frustrate Brazil for long periods. They did, and eventually Brazil they got the moment of inspiration. Helped in some part by a sizable deflection of Akanji. Not to take any credit from Casemiro because it was a super strike, but that deflection wrong footed Jan Sommer and flew into the back of the net. And I think it was hard on Akanji because arguably he was the man of the match. If the game had ended 0-0, I think he would have been the man of the match. So resolute was his defending. But I think on the day Brazil just shaded it. Switzerland, I figured they would have missed Shaqiri, and they did, and they looked a team that will continue to frustrate you, but you struggle to see where they would have had that
X
moment of
factor.
genius. And I'm figuring, guys, that somebody like Noah Okafor, who plays his football for Red Bull Salzburg, and has been linked with a number of teams, linked with even Arsenal. Is an option from the bench. I'm tired of seeing people like Seferovic. Embolo isn't bad, but Seferovic, I'm fed up with him. I think he has gotten to the end of his rope. But as it relates to Brazil, I heard Bones giving his assessment. Don't necessarily share that assessment. They have not been totally impressive, but I think they have been efficient. They have done enough. And you have to remember, Bones, that they have come up against two resolute European teams that play with low blocks and frustrate and all of that. And yes, they haven't clicked, but I think you're reading way too much into it.
Into it, yeah. They even though they haven't clicked, but they don't seem like they would have lost those games.
Precisely. You didn't
Yeah,
get them that at any point over the course of the 180 minutes
they would
thus
have lost.
far that they have been in any trouble. And you start to think that, well, this is a team that has a couple of years to go up. And that issue that we spoke about last night, Josh, quickly, re Neymar. Neymar's absence is felt. Even if you're Neymar's staunchest hater, the things that Neymar does or is able to do, no other player in that squad can. No matter how talented they are, Neymar's skill set is unique because
It's like
Neymar
their talisman
is
in the in the,
total
in the
total package. He has all the dribbling skills in the world, but he has the passes and he has goals in him as well. All right, so let's not fool ourselves. And to play
he's on form.
in that position, he is a big loss. And I think kudos to Brazil for getting the 3 points, despite, as Bones mentioning, not necessarily impressing him, but doing enough. And I think that's the hallmark of a champion. Because you see, Josh, you can always look at
They're being very efficient. It's just like France in the last World Cup. Because I was the first
precisely.
one saying that
Or,
France in the group stage they weren't impressive, but they were efficient in
precisely.
the first few games.
And if you remember, even in 2014, outside of that aberration where Germany annihilated Brazil in the semifinals,
Right.
the German team in 2014, they were just doing enough. You remember, even when they played against Algeria gave them all that they could handle, because the contrast in styles. Even the World Cup final, it went to extra
I
time.
remember the game against France in the quarters, only 1-0,
Precisely,
1-0 victory for the
precisely.
Germans.
In 2010 we saw where Spain
Spain.
lost to Switzerland and eventually eked out a number of 1-0 victories over the course of the tournament. And this is an iconic Spanish team which is remembered for their style of play. They only scored a total of 8 goals,
And
right?
won the World Cup.
Precisely. And I don't agree with Bones' assessment. Brazil of this current Brazilian team, because if you remember in World Cup qualifying over the course of 17 games,
I
and
was I was going to make that clear too. They did not score in a lot of those games. They scored
they
one victories.
but they conceded 5 goals. So,
Goals.
it's a team that hardly concedes, and they are always playing on the front foot. And usually they come up against teams that sit in and try to defend for long periods, where the onus is on them to make the play. And I think if teams attack Brazil, then you'll find that Brazil can play more expansively because they'll get more space and more and they'll have more chances to display their obvious talent up front. So I think all in all, Switzerland still has their destiny in their hands, because if they win on match day 3, they will be secure in the round of 16. Brazil, they have the opportunity now to use other players. I can't even say rest or to bring in squad players, because all of these players are world class in their own right.
And it is going to be very rough on a team like Serbia if they went out knowing that they actually topped their group in Europe over Portugal and drop out early with such a talented
Chris,
bunch. But
Chris,
the coach has to take some blame for that.
yeah, yes, he does, and also his attacking options haven't necessarily been 100% fit. Mitrovic, he played on today, but still doesn't look like he's 100%. Vlahovic has been dogged by injuries. Luka Jovic has his issues. Kostic played today and he made an impact as we had suspected, but he was missing in that first game, where probably he could have affected the game in a positive way for them. But they have their work cut out, as I said, because they have to win and hope that the other result goes in
Went
their.
their way. And sticking to you, Ham, our last game of the day saw Portugal, right? Came coming out with a 2-0 victory over Uruguay, and with Bruno Fernandes awarded both goals. What you made of that game against Uruguay team that I think was actually poor? What you made of that?
Remember, we previewed this last night, Josh, and I did mention that depending on the starting 11, it would factor in the overall result in my estimation, and so it panned out. We saw where he went with a back 3. Don't know why he did that, and he went with a front 2. As opposed to playing Pelestri, who was their brightest weapon in the first game and who gives them natural width down that right hand side. I know Varela does his thing, but in terms of attackers, then Pelestri is able to stretch the play. And he didn't see it like that until later on. I saw
And
when
they needed it.
and Arrascaeta actually came onto the field. I saw where Uruguay had wind in their sails and they let the handbrake down, and they can actually play when they are when they are quote unquote chasing the game, because in the second half they had Portugal pinned back for long periods. But with an attack like that, and I know that in the case of Suarez and Cavani, they are well past their best. But with attacking minded midfielders like Valverde, like Bentancur, with a Darwin Nunes, you figure that after 2 games that you would have expected Uruguay to have at least scored 1 goal. And it's an indictment, I think, on Diego Alonso. Diego Alonso, for the viewers, is the manager. That bizarre decision to start with a back 3 comprising Aquates, Godin, who is obviously past his best, who was subbed out eventually, and Jimenez, I thought that was one fraught with danger. But Josh, they have to be kicking themselves because they had chances nonetheless.
Right. Yeah, they did.
Bentancur any other day, I believe, would have scored. I think he did all the hard work. He got past 3 Portuguese players, and then with Diego Costa at his mercy, somehow contrived to miss. And they didn't do themselves any justice. I thought they can feel hard done with that penalty later on, because by the amended laws of the game, that should not have been awarded, because there are provisions now made, and this is an amendment from 2021 last year, recently. So it says that if a player is trying to use it, has fallen to the ground and is in the process of getting up or is in the process of falling, and is using his hand for any form of support, then it should not be deemed handball. But um, Portugal, another efficient display. Some will say that they rode their luck, and they did, but they're into the round of 16, and that's all that matters in the grand scheme of things. They have their own issues, and I think
I see Jody saying here that Mr. Ham, talk about your baller Ronaldo. I don't know how she get to say that Ronaldo is your baller, but she said that she wants you to talk about your baller Ronaldo. I think she's talking about the celebrating goal.
uh, I think all of us have devices where we saw what happened. So I don't think I need to elaborate on that. Where Bruno Fernandes scored 2 goals today, Josh. I'll just leave it
Leave
at
it at that. Yeah.
leave it at that. But I want Bones to weigh in on this. But I just think that Uruguay, they have the wherewithal to play much better, and I think with different personnel they can. And this name, I can't understand why he hasn't been given a chance. I think he'll probably be seen on match day 3. Spoke about him last night. Ugarte in midfield, I think is a must, and I think he is the future of the midfield, along with obviously Valverde and Bentancur, because Vicino is now, I think, 31, and Ugarte, for the viewers, he actually leads the Champions League in ball recoveries, tackles made, tackles won in midfield. So he is the all-action midfield player that I think they probably should have employed today, and we'll more than likely see him on match day 3 when they will have it all cut out for them, and where they have to win and hope that the other result goes in
But
their.
are you surprised that this Portugal side, right? Because many persons were saying that they might not play well or are comfortable enough with Chris up front, given his age. But so far, they have looked good with him. He's
I,
playing well, in my
I,
opinion.
I wouldn't
He's
say
playing well,
good.
and the team seems comfortable though.
I wouldn't necessarily say good though. I
Would you
think
think that they are probably not good, but you see them like in the light of Brazil? They're actually efficient, just
well,
comfortable
yes, I will say that they have been
because
efficient,
they've been passing the ball well. They have
but
keeping
they have
possession.
they have ridden their luck as well.
Yeah, they have been there. Look,
Remember, Inaki Williams fluffed his lines. We really should have punished them. Diego Costa
that's true.
one, and today Uruguay had enough chances. Suarez, probably you figure a fit, sharp Suarez of at least 3 years ago would have taken that chance. I know he just came onto the field, but Suarez has made his living from this. But you just saw where it's a team that these relics, legendary and iconic as they are, Suarez, Cavani, and Godin, I think they need to be phased out. And finally, Diego Alonso, the manager, he played with them, and he's 47. So it just goes to show how old they are. They're 35, 36-year-olds who are obviously well past it. You can't have these players, they can't be carrying passengers at the World Cup. The World Cup is such that you play one bad game and you're already almost faced with a do or die situation in the case of Argentina. So you find that you have to hit the ground running. So you can't bring passengers when you come to the World Cup.
Bones, your
You,
team on this final game of the day. Portugal with a 2-0 win over Uruguay and your star baller Ronaldo.
who for star baller?
I was just
Hey,
kidding.
you have to know what you're supposed live, you know. Yay. I think what? Or Uruguay is the only team in the World Cup now who hasn't scored a goal, right? I think everybody has scored a goal now, right?
Yes, I think everybody
Well,
has.
let's look at the worst team, Qatar. They have scored.
Yeah, Uruguay has a score goal today.
Yeah, and I have to agree with everything that Ham is saying on this one. Even though like how me assess Brazil, but that's fine. But time will tell who wrong or who right. Um, yeah, Uruguay team really poor right now, and at it is like these managers not learning. Yeah, it is the younger players are going to give you more. They're going to give you a different level of energy. When you look at a Spain team, right, how young they are. When you look at France and how they're incorporating young players in their team. Germany, the same thing. And you look at the level that these teams are playing. Brazil, the same thing with young players, yeah? And you look at these are the teams that you want to compete with, right? To do well in a championship as the World Cup, right? And when you come to a World Cup with players who are way past their prime and there's availability to you and you're not using those who are available, who are much younger, who are much enthusiastic, um, ready to give their all. It's not like these players, they're not giving their all, they are giving their all, but that's it. That's their all. It's just right there, flat on the pitch. They can't give any more. Yeah, and fresh young blood would be giving you more, and it's obvious that most of the managers for these nations, they're going for names and preferences over going for, let me set up my team to win a football game. They're not doing that. Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, Uruguay got a few opportunities. I saw Nunes was he in the first half, I thought in the first 20-30 minutes that I watched, he wasn't too bad, right? I saw him going down the line a couple of times. He looked fast, had a lot of pace and everything. Um, Portugal, they were maintaining possession. They were breaking up plays. They were really good. Yeah, and they were always an attacking threat, right throughout the game from minute 1 to minute 98. They were an attacking threat, and it's not surprising that they won this game. So yeah, Uruguay is a poor team. I don't expect them to qualify from this group. I think Portugal and Ghana will go through. Ghana only need that point on the last day of match day 3. Um, Seeing that, you hope that Portugal will draw with Korea or something like that, then they will be fine, right? So yeah, Uruguay is a poor team. I can't see them going any further than the group stage and start up the playing engine. Back to South America, you go.
And sticking to your bones, tomorrow now we're into our preview for tomorrow. This is the last group of fixtures. Basically in the group stages will kick off tomorrow. Our
Uh,
first game,
Josh,
yes.
I see a comment. Just want to answer when gets into his work. Uh, Uruguay needs a change of coach, but the ironic thing is that Uruguay changed
Change.
coach from Tabarez to Alonso, and that was supposed to signal a change in direction in terms of how they play, the pattern of play, and all of that. And I think it's an indictment on someone like Maxi Gomez, who we saw came off the bench, the one who hit the post. He was heralded before Darwin Nunes came onto the scene as the bright new hope. He's now 26. Guess where he's playing, Josh? He's playing at Trabzonspor in
In
Turkey.
30.
This is someone who had scored 30 goals over 2 campaigns in La Liga for Celta Vigo. Got a big move to Valencia. Didn't make it at the Mestalla. Now applying his trade in Turkey. So it just goes to show that these new players need to step up so that these older players won't have any reason to still be included in the squad. Because if Maxi Gomez was doing his work, then I dare say that people like Cavani and Suarez,
Would
I
not
can
be there.
yeah, they would be not playing. But the fact that the young Turks aren't necessarily covering themselves in glory, I think that's why these old players still are in the picture. All right, Bones, you can go ahead with the preview.
Yes, Bones. Tomorrow match, Ecuador versus Senegal, 10 a.m. And for yes, guys, the first matches will be starting 10 a.m. in the morning. So they will have two games. Just let you guys know, there'll be two games each at 10 a.m. Jamaican time and at 2 p.m. So that's 4 games per day. Yes. So Bones, the first game, Ecuador versus Senegal. This is a very, very key matchup because both teams actually need to win that game in order to qualify. What you made of that match tomorrow? Very tough.
When we reach a stage, remind me how the group set up now, Josh.
So
Who the second?
with that group, Ecuador is on second with 4 points. Senegal is third with 3 points.
Holy, so Senegal need a
And
win.
Netherlands
What,
leading the group with 4 points.
what's the what the goal
Um,
difference be?
the goal difference between Netherlands and Ecuador is the same. So I guess they're looking at more goals
No,
scored.
no,
But
Senegal. The goal difference between Senegal and Ecuador are the same.
no, the goal difference is Ecuador have 2+0.
How much Senegal have? Holy, so them need a win then.
So Senegal actually need a win. If it's a draw,
Yeah,
then the
yeah,
Ecuador will go through. But Senegal
yeah.
really need a win.
Woo. Wow, wow,
And
wow, wow,
that's a
wow.
tough game. So what you make of it?
Holy, the one are really hard
Ecuador
now.
has a key player out, right, Ham?
Didn't hear that.
I think Ecuador has a key player out.
Yes. Mendes in midfield, who has forged a brilliant partnership with Caicedo is out.
Yes, he's out. Yeah. So I
By
think,
by well, he's an able replacement in Gruezo. He plays for Augsburg in the Bundesliga. So he
okay.
comes with a wealth of experience. More than 50 caps for Ecuador. So he knows his way around. So I think they will be okay to get by tomorrow in the midfield.
All right. So
Wow.
you come to a decision, it?
Decision. This one tough because it's a dog fight. This
Yeah, it's
very
more
much
than a dogfight.
dog fight because what Ecuador would be thinking is that we just need a result from this and we're through.
Yeah,
Right?
just need to hold out.
Yeah, just hold out. And then in the same breath, Senegal is thinking, hey, we have to get 3 points.
But
Three
and
points?
Ecuador is going to think that Senegal is coming for 3 points. I guess that
Yeah,
we can't let our guards down.
exactly. So really tough one to call. I mean, Senegal got not Senegal. Ecuador got a good result versus Netherlands. Senegal went on to beat Qatar, which we expected them to do. The Senegal team without Sadio Mane is not. They're not a bad team. They're really not a bad team. And with Sadio Mane out, they still show signs that they can be very competitive. Yeah, we know that a Sadio Mane would have given them that
X
little bit
factor.
more edge, yeah, that X factor, which you would be licking your fingers right now to say, yes, Senegal have a big chance of winning this game because Sadio Mane will be on the pitch. But they still have good quality. It would be nice to see Senegal going through. But I think it's just going to be a dog fight in the end, and I think Senegal should start the playing engine tomorrow. This is going to be a 1-1 draw. Ecuador will qualify.
All right, it seems a draw in that way for real. But what says you, Mr.
It's going to be a very keenly contested game. The teams look evenly matched. Obviously, we have spoken a lot about Mane's absence, so I won't go down that street. But I think Senegal, they did something good the last time by including the top scorer in quality, Daidu, and they will be best served by starting with a similar formation tomorrow, where he plays right in behind Bulaidia, so that they will actually keep the Ecuadorian defenders honest as opposed to employing one center forward. So I think the absence of Mendes is going to be felt, but I think this may come down to, is Ener Valencia fit? Because the two games that he has played so far, he has been suffering from injuries. He's 33 now. How how badly was he injured last time around? He is so key because the last six goals that they have scored, three this World Cup, three in 2014. He is the one responsible for the last six goals. And I spoke about him. He's someone who didn't burst onto the scene with a big reputation. Christian Benitez, who was seen as the big striker, the one who died at 27. Caicedo, they were seen as the big strikers for Ecuador, but in Valencia is the all-time leading goal scorer for the country. One in two, he is, I think, going to be the determining factor. If he plays, the team is so much better for it. They are well drilled. Alfaro has them playing very, very good football. Uh, they look like the slight favorites in my book. It's hard to go against Senegal because we're rooting for the African team, but my heart says
Even
Senegal.
though Ecuador seems like an African team.
But my is the team from South America. They're aggressive. They use the ball well. They have dangerous players. Even though Valencia is the only one who has scored in Plata, in Caicedo, they have so many weapons. And if Valencia doesn't play, another Brighton player arguably comes in, Sarmiento, born in England. We have seen him. He's bright, he's sharp, he is tricky, not necessarily prolific just yet, but he's only 20 years old. So I'm going to go with Ecuador not to lose. Not calling this game, but I just don't think Senegal will beat them. And I think Ecuador, by virtue of that, will secure their spot in the round of 16.
And sticking with you, Ham, our next 10 a.m. game will be Netherlands versus Qatar. What you made of that?
The Dutch, they have not impressed. They got the result on match day one, which arguably was down more to blunders by Edward Mendy as opposed to them actually playing well. They just seem shorn and devoid of ideas, guys, in the forward areas. And you look at the attack, it just does not inspire confidence. Cody Gakpo has been their brightest light.
Unless they're going to make changes.
We know Memphis isn't 100%, but Van Gaal has been gradually building him up. Last game he said he would give him 45 minutes. Should be interesting to see if he deploys him from the start because they're so much better when he starts, when he plays, because he impacts the game from an attacking sense like no other Dutch player. Frankie de Jong in midfield, I think this probably maybe a game that may come a bit too soon for Xavi Simons, even though he would provide them with much needed creativity from a deeper position in midfield, because they just seem like a team that they got the result against Senegal, but you still have this lingering doubt around them. They were not convincing against Ecuador, got the early goal, Ecuador pinned them back, got the equalizer, and looked the team more likely to snatch the winner late on. And this does not augur well for a team that had arrived in Qatar as being a live shot to make it deep into the tournament. They still have the quality, but they haven't shown it just yet. And I think that Qatar, they are already out of the tournament, guys. They can play with the handbrake down, knowing that it doesn't matter. So the onus is on the Dutch to put down a result and to ensure that they win the group. So it should be a fascinating game going with the Dutch, but I'm not convinced. And even after tomorrow, I'm still not going to be convinced because they're playing against a team that would have already been long relegated to also runs.
Mr. Bones, what you made of that match? Netherlands Qatar.
It's a busy week. It's a busy week for the airspace of Qatar. No, for the airport down in Qatar. Busy week this week. Starting tomorrow enough. Except for Qatar, who is already home. Right? Yeah, I think when you look at the spread, Argentina and Netherlands would be licking their fingers that they can get into the semi-finals, right? When you look at the spread, both of them winning their group, both of them winning their round of 16, they play each other. Yeah, they and I don't see much difference between the. Well, there's one difference: the Magic Man, right? He's the only difference between both Netherlands and Argentinian team right now. So both would be licking their fingers to say yes, they can get into the semi-final versus Spain, right? But right now, as Ham said, the Dutch they aren't impressed. They're not impressing me either. Right? They're not really impressive. Now tomorrow is a game, even though you're playing probably one of the worst teams in the World Cup. It's a game where you can use to lay down a marker, right? To get some form of chemistry going, to get so to just get something clicking for you. Yeah, the Dutch, they are not a bad team. They're a really, really good team. They have a really, really good manager. And yeah, is not is it, you can't even talk about the game because you expect the Dutch to win 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, maybe 7. Yeah, if they click from me right now. But yeah, the Dutch they need to find something tomorrow, because after tomorrow, what they have coming up the knockout phases. And if you're not clicking in the knockout phases, then you're going to be bored in a plane going home as well, right? And it doesn't matter who is coming over from the other side. It doesn't matter, yeah. Everything on the other side coming over is very competitive, and they can kick you out in the round of 16 too. So they have to find something for them tomorrow. Clicking versus this Qatar team, and then we'll see how it goes from there. But yeah, the Dutch will win easily.
Josh,
And yes,
in
Mr. Ham.
the Dutch quickly. But one observation: the last match they played against Ecuador, and Ecuador matched up with them with a back three. As we know, when you're playing with a back three, the onus is on the wing backs to provide the attacking thrust, because they are high up the pitch from their starting positions, and Estupin and Preciado on the other side. They nullified Blind. Well, Blind isn't Cavalier, we know that. But he was playing as a wing back. And more importantly, Dumfries, who has been awful. And I think in that particular system, Van Hal expects more from his wing backs. So I'll be watching tomorrow to see if he keeps his back three uh, formation, and the personnel who he deploys in the wide areas. Does he stick with Daily Blind on the left, or does he bring in a Malasia? Does he stick with Dumfries, or does he insert Jeremy Frimpong, who I think deserves a chance at least, because Dumfries has not been convincing, and Frimpong has been playing very, very well for Leverkusen.
And they're asking for a score, Pepe Paul, Mr. Ham.
In this game,
Yes, in this game.
um,
I think the betters are out. Yeah, they want a score.
um, gonna go, and this is me going out on a limb, and I don't like to go out on a limb because the Dutch aren't convincing. Let me drop that right away. But
That's true.
I'm gonna go 4-1. I'm not going to go 6-7 like Bones. I think
Me never say 6. Me say
but
4. Me
it,
say, me say 4.
or it might be 6, it might be 7.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if they click,
they
if they
click.
click.
No, I don't think because for me, Josh, that Spain versus Costa Rica was an aberration. Spain was good on the day, but Costa Rica was equally as bad, right? And they show that they can be more resolute in the subsequent game by bucking the trend and beating Japan. So if you run a line through those results, you'll see that something was off for Costa Rica on that day, even though Spain was very, very good, but they were basically playing against arguable cones. So for result, I'm going to say 4-1 in the favor of the Dutch.
Okay, and sticking with Mr. Ham, the next game, a game that already seems very tense, right? There are complaints being made by Iran that FIFA should kick the US out of the competition over disrespect to their flag, right?
I
So
agree.
we already talked about the politics regarding that game last week, but while we were talking, we probably didn't expect that it will heat up like this. It's actually getting very tense between them, political wise, and then Iran has also have issues at home. What you made of that game with Iran and USA, which seems to be one of the games tomorrow to watch, actually,
It will definitely be one of the games to watch
if not the
because
game.
if not the game, because
Yeah.
you know all of the extenuating circumstances that surround the game, all the variables, all the issues dating back to 1979 and the Iranian Revolution and what happened in the aftermath. And remember, they played against each other in 1998, and in '98, Iran came out 2-1 victors. As it relates to the game tomorrow, Iran, as I expected, they were much improved. They put away a very, very poor Welsh team, albeit in extra time after Hennessy got himself sent off. But Iran had chances before that. And it augurs well for Iran going into this matchup. The US should be interesting because they are reporting that there are going to be a number of changes made as the US tries to play in a more attacking sense. So they expect Giorena to start, and also Ferreira and Aronson.
I would love to see Jerry in a starting, but yeah,
But but
it's very
but
attacking for real.
But the problem that the US has is that most of their better players are similar type players, and it's difficult to fit all of them into the formation to keep the balance. And this may come at the expense of people like Yunus Musa, who has done very, very well, was not out of place against more heralded opposition when he play against the English. This is a 19-year-old kid. Well, he just turned 20. We're looking at Timothy Weah not starting as well, Josh, which for me is quite strange because Weah has been their brightest spark across the two games from an attacking perspective. But I think they're trying to get arguably their best attacking players on the field of play. As it relates to the game, though, I had gone out on the limb early before the World Cup started, and I had said that Iran would go through, and I'm going to stick to my guns. That was another anomaly where there were a number of issues when they played England, because I don't think England will beat this Iranian team by 4 clear goals again if they play somehow in this tournament. I think that was just a one-off. And I am going with Iran to edge it. The US will have more possession, but I think Iran has the weapons to hurt them. And I still think that the US has a soft center and they can be exposed to pace. And I think Azmoun and Taremi will carry a serious threat. And I'm seeing both of them on the score sheet. I think this game ends 2-1 to Iran.
All right, and if that ends that way, the U.S. media will be in one uproar, right? Which I think Iran might edit to as for real, but it will be very interesting to see the reaction of the U.S. media. Bones,
Me,
this game.
me not gonna make it so easy for US, cause that basically too easy for them, Me not gonna make it worse. Tomorrow, Iran 1, US 1. US gone home. Right back to the States. They go.
This is a draw game,
Yes, man. 1-1. Yeah, man. Make them cry all the way back to America.
and
But
stick with you, both. Yes,
Josh,
both. Yes, yes. Sam.
Carlos Queiroz has to get his team selection
Correct.
spot on because he has the tools. But we saw in game one, uh,
Against England.
he made changes that were dubious, and he arrested the slide. He made the changes on match day 2, and we saw an improved performance. So I'm thinking he needs to stick with that 11, provided that all of these players are fully fit. Once he does that, I think the US struggles to break them down, and I think Iran hits them on the counter attack.
And sticking with your bones, the last game of the day, Wales versus England, and this result, right? Um, England are basically true because Wales have to won by 4 goals, 4 clear goals. And we're not seeing that, so we can say the English basically are true.
You
What?
you now see that?
No,
You now see that?
yeah,
Yeah.
that won't happen. That won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that won't happen.
Anyways, you know what?
What do
You
you mean that
know,
team though?
me, eh? Me gonna say something. Zin,
Yeah,
you see the day the English media stay out of the football is the day the English team are gonna start do well and be more competitive in World Cup games. I cannot understand how 24. I've been watching the training, 24 hours before every single game.
Jordan,
You basically know the starting 11
for England.
for England. 24 hours.
And what I realized with England over the years, whenever they put pressure on a manager to start a particular player, the manager throw in that same player that they wanted or that they want to start.
Precisely.
And they're pressuring the manager
Precisely.
to start Foden tomorrow. So let's see. But continue.
Precisely. I mean, I have no problem if start Foden, but Henderson over Billingham, how? Why? Like, me not understand that.
Probably
Yeah.
they want to rest him, Bellingham for the
Rest.
second round. Yeah.
Well, if but you're not guarantee a spot yet. So what you rest for?
Because they know that they're not going to lose by 4-0.
How you know that?
That won't happen.
Gareth Bale hat trick. Ramsey pan the 98th minute.
Since they are one of our countries, we might just let them win 3-0 and go through the second round as well with us.
Anyways, yeah, it is always astonishing how 24 hours before an English game, you know the starting 11. It is very ironic. And the day that the English media and the so-called farmer players who did not contribute anything to English football stay out of the current modern day football, then the team will start to do better. That's it. Everybody have been saying the same thing years after year after year after year. Media, farmer players telling what the coach what to do. Coach is yielding under pressure to, as you said, Josh, because a farmer player said this, criticize, and the media said this, start this player, then you throw the player in. No, Gareth South, and you see, I was starting to feel like Gareth Southgate wasn't that type of guy. He wasn't that guy. But if he actually goes against if he bows to media pressure tomorrow, then he's that guy. Yeah, and he just simply can't continue as the English manager. Yeah, that are just it. A matter of fact, if they not do well, this just might be in last stint with the team, right? But yeah, the English team versus Wales. Yeah, we know it's a derby
Local
game.
derby.
Yeah, we know it's a derby game. It will be interesting. I think to be honest, I think incorporating fresh legs for this game wouldn't be a bad idea. I agree with you, Josh. Wales won't win this game 4-0 for them to jump ahead of England in the group. So yeah, resting the likes of Saka, what's his name up front, Harry Kane, who I think he has a niggle carrying. So I think resting those two guys with probably Sterling as well. It wouldn't be a bad idea. Bringing Grealish, bringing Foden, and bringing Rashford.
Wilson.
Eh?
Callum
Wilson. Yeah, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea for him to do tomorrow, to be honest. We're still talking about a lot of quality, and we're talking about players. We're talking about you giving players rest who you probably need in the knockout stages, yeah? Because we know that Bukayo Saka, whether he starts or not, even when he comes off the bench, he gives you a lot. When he comes off the bench, he can turn a game for you, as we saw versus it. I think it was Italy the other day that he didn't start against, and he came off the bench and basically turned the game around for England. Yeah. So I think he needs to give them a rest. He can give Bellingham a rest too. I don't know how fit Madison is right now, but he could get a look in if he's not fit. Yeah. So at the end of the day, but the thing is, do you really want to risk making all those changes? Then Iran wins and jump ahead of you in the group if you draw that game, right?
And then
You
we end
finish,
up playing Netherlands if
and
Netherlands
then you
win
end
it.
up playing Netherlands on the other side. So
Let me tell you
touch on
what's the scenario. Look at what happened in the Netherlands game at 10 a.m. Then the coach
yeah.
can make a decision at 12.
No decision maker ready. In team pick 24 hours prior. You're deaf, man. Man, yeah. So at the end of the day, yeah, I think he can ring in some changes because what we're talking about is still quality, right? We're still talking quality. Jack Grealish is quality. We know Foden is quality. Yeah. And if Madison is fit, then yeah, whatever, play him. Callum Wilson is quality as well. So yeah, even if he plays Rashford straight down the middle, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Because Rashford have proven that he can actually play down the middle, right? And that's just raw pace up front with all of those guys. So should be an interesting game. It won't be an easy game for England, but England if England wants to, it- with the political and football um um war that will go on in the other game, England cannot take any chance and not win this game just in case um what's his name, Iran comes out winners um in the US game, right? Because that would then spell Iran 6, and if Wales manage to hang on for a draw, England 5, and that would place England playing against Netherlands, who you don't really want yet. You always want the easiest route to a semi-final, right? Always want the easiest route to a semi-final. So let's see how it goes. It should be interesting. Henderson coming in the team should be very, very interesting. We know that is going to happen because it already released. In starting 11 already released. So yeah, whatever. And media, Gary Neville and the whole on the stay out time man football. Stop telling man what you do. Please.
What's your prediction?
Where's
Yeah,
England?
yeah. What's your prediction?
2-1 England.
All right. I thought you were going to say 5-1, but
No, you're mad, not this game.
Mr. Howe, what do you make of this game tomorrow at 2 p.m.? A local derby.
Yes, it's a local derby, and as we had feared, the Welsh, they have not aged gracefully. Bale, definitely a shadow of the player that he once was, which we long had known. Ramsey, not the same player obviously anymore. Joe Allen. These are the relics of that team that got them all the way to the semi-finals against all the odds in 2016 at the European Championships. But as it relates to this game tomorrow, England start favourites. We heard of the projected changes. I think, Josh, when Southgate was asked why is it that he hasn't been playing Foden, and his rationale was that Foden doesn't play there for his club. I didn't subscribe to that because when you look at
Yes, well.
how he has deployed someone like Kyle Walker in a back three as your right-sided centre back. Obviously, Walker did the job admirably when called upon. Right? Hasn't
But he
been
doesn't play the first club either.
but when he was at Tottenham rarely used a back three. Man City almost never uses a back
The
three.
back three.
So it just shows that here is a man who was just looking for excuses, but
Yeah,
under
poor excuse.
closer scrutiny, and what he was saying didn't necessarily add up. But Foden obviously is the most, well, in my eyes, the most gifted English talent in that squad. He's able to play in a plethora of positions. And I think it's a case where you want to get your best players on the field. Even if they don't start, I think when you realize that it's not working, someone like Foden, you just have to insert him because he can win the game. And he has added goal scoring to his repertoire this season, where we have seen where he has been scoring frequently for his club team. So I think he will start along with Henderson. The rationale given for, well, they assumed the rationale was that Southgate wasn't enamored by Bellingham's performance against the US. But I dare say,
Even though they marked him out of the game.
I dare say that none of them outside of Maguire arguably cover themselves in glory. So if you're going that small sample size, then I would levy the same blame at the foot of every other English player, barring Harry Maguire. And I think especially seeing how bright he was and his skill set, I figure that he really would be hard done.
And remember,
yes, Bones.
Sorry, Josh. If they're going to point out, if he's going to point out Bellingham's performance versus the US, he has to point out Harry Kane, who was absolutely atrocious in the game. I think he was England's worst player on the day, not Bellingham. Harry Kane was their worst player. So he cannot pick on the youngster to say, oh, the youngster was poor and he doesn't deserve a spot versus Wales because of that. No, that's not how it works. And that will always continue.
For a reason with Bellingham. All right, one of the reasons for that too as well, right? Just like persons the media's accusing him of not playing for them. The media used to beat him for not playing Bellingham. Right? Remember, it take a while to start Bellingham. He's basically probably looking at perfect excuse now to drop him, given the fact that he played poorly the last game. But it was the media that pressured him to start playing Bellingham.
And then, so what I tell you? Is the media control the team? It's not Garrett. It's not Southgate. It's not so. Please let the media tell their Shams or whatever the French coach want him. Let the media tell him who to start. Please.
So
let the media tell him who to start.
He actually didn't want to start Bellingham, even from last season. Bellingham was playing very well. He was saying that he needs more time and experience. Yep. And then when things weren't going well in the Nation League, he drafted for him and started playing.
And then remember that Phillips has been injured because his preferred double play was right.
Yeah.
So it's basically a case where his hands were almost full.
Yeah, we not even could have. I
think if Phillips was fit, he would not be starting by now.
Right, I think so too, because he would be going with his trusted two.
Mount, Phillips, and
even Mount. Mount played 90 minutes last game. Why is there no argument that he's losing his spot? Like Mount was horrible. Second behind Harry Kane for the two worst players on the pitch. That game. Yeah, and he played 90 minutes. Listen. And not because Saka, my boys, Saka, I think, created 2 or 3 good opportunities that game for England to have won the game, yeah? Sterling got a few opportunities as well versus the US, yeah? Mason Mount, nothing. Who do you take off? Sterling, Bellingham, and Saka. Saka, who was creating a few little chances here and there. Sterling, who got a 1 or 2 chance here and there. Mason Mount, who was absolutely doing nothing.
To be fair though, Bones, because you know, I like to split justice. While Mason Mount was anonymous for the most part, he did actually draw the first save from Turner, low down right before the halftime interval. So yes, but for the rest of the game, it was really
So that game the license to play 90 minutes.
I think the coaches are looking at this. Mount can probably pop up with a goal out of nowhere.
Whoa, Mason Mount
out of the blue.
Out of Ottawa. Listen to me, man. Listen to me, man.
Remember at times you do that for Chelsea, you know. Remember at times.
Yeah. When since listen, Listen, man, this guy, if England want to win
But
this
his passing was
championship,
awful though. It was very
it,
awful.
he man did
I
awful.
would
I
have
don't know
played
only
him
this a
for
game.
the first
Hey,
30 minutes when I watched the game. I probably would have subbed him for
yo,
the next 30 minutes.
yo, the game versus Iran, right? Sorry, but
He was the
me
only
did
player.
wonder if he did the on the field.
He was probably the only player against Iran that did not really perform as well. The only English player.
Yeah, me wonder if he did the on the field. Honestly, and that was versus Iran. I come, I come in the US game, and the guy get 90 minutes still playing poor. So you want to win the US game, and you take off two man we can create something from the left, and the other one who can score a goal for what is created for the right. Sorry, right? And you left Mason. You believe Mason Mount. You believe Mason Mount would have give you the opportunity to win that game versus US. Really? Wow. And then you're gonna talk about so listen, so there's no innovation in the English team then. Yeah. So you're gonna tell me say you are not going to play Foden down the middle because he not play the versus he not play the in club team. Really? So nothing can change again. The world nothing change. If we just eat bread every day, we can't eat one muffin or something every
And
now and again.
and
Eh?
Bones, why I would rubbish that when you watch Man City, how they play, their attack, barring Haaland, who is a recent addition, but over
Right.
the last 3 years that Foden has been a regular member of the first team. It is a fluid front four that they play with, so they interchange and they play in a myriad of positions, and that's one of the hallmarks of Man City, and that's why they're so difficult when they're best for teams to live with them because of how fluid the attackers are. They play in different positions and they're equally adroit at doing that. You will find Foden dropping deep, so Foden has the ability, and he has played in a number of positions. I've seen him play for Man City and England as a number 8. I remember one he played for England as a number 8, because teams hardly play with what we would refer to as a traditional number 10. They are really more number 8s where they are no longer players who play just when their team have the ball. They have to also do the dirty side. And
Right.
Foden got on the ball, England's most influential player. So he has previous in terms of playing for England in that position, and more importantly, he has played there on a number of occasions at club level. Not necessarily this season, but in the past, as opposed to a Kyle Walker who he played at right centre back when very very rarely. The only time I remember Walker playing, you remember this season when Chelsea won the league, when Conte switched to a back three, and then almost all
Yeah.
the top six took that time, because I remember Arsene Wenger employing a back three. I remember Pep himself employing a back three as well. That was in his first season in England when Tottenham won that Premier League. But apart from that,
Chelsea won that Premier League.
yes, when Chelsea won the Premier League, sorry. But
No,
apart
Bones, don't make Bones cry.
yeah, but apart from that, you have hardly ever had an instance at senior football where Kyle Walker, probably when he was on the books of Sheffield all those years ago, but certainly not since he has played for Tottenham, and more importantly and more recently Manchester City. So I think that whole argument, but as it relates to the game, Josh, England starts favorite. I saw where one of the commenters said that if Trent Alexander-Arnold and Foden don't play, then England cannot win. I don't subscribe to that. I think
Yeah, I
England.
don't subscribe
I
to
think
that.
there's a golf in class,
Between
but
both teams.
because England should be able to beat this version of Wales comfortably, even if those two don't start. But we are here making a valid case, especially for the inclusion of a Phil Foden. Alexander Arnold, in that particular game that we're talking about, the US game, where he saw that it wasn't working and they were struggling for creativity, you could have inserted him because it just wasn't panning out. But I think Trippier has been good enough for a long period to have the confidence still kept in him to keep his spot, as opposed to a Mason Mount who has been underwhelming. But to be fair to Mount, I think he's one of those again who polarizes. You have some persons who are stickler for him, and some persons
Yeah,
who
Paula is always there's a
hate
split
who
opinion on
hate
him.
him, who hate him
The
passionately.
coaches like
And
him.
and I was getting to that a plethora of coaches.
Yes, not just one, a plethora of coaches.
He does have talent, I must say, but he hasn't always shown it. And since England turned up in Qatar, he has been one of the players who has underwhelmed for the Three Lions. But England wins this game tomorrow for me. I'm struggling to see how Wales will score from open play because they just have not convinced.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at England 2-0. Wales will make it tight. They will depend on set pieces. The aerial bombardment, but that's Harry Maguire's territory. So I don't think Kiefer Moore will have the joy that he had against the US. Playing up against Harry Maguire, especially if Maguire plays from the start tomorrow, because chances are, I don't know, so it may have one or two things up his sleeve in terms of resting player. But Maguire plays, I think he nullifies the threat posed by Kiefer Moore, because that's playing to Harry Maguire's strength.
Strength, aerial strength.
He has been arguably one of England's
Best
finest
players.
for a long period.
All right, guys, your
Yo,
final
me,
minute.
me,
Vote.
yeah, let me use my final
Use
minute
your
to say
final
this. Yes. Bet any money a morning. All right, me wake up 6:15, 6:30 to get ready by 7 o'clock to leave out, right? That is 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock Jamaica time. The match start what time tomorrow? 12?
2 p.m.
2 p.m. Jamaica
This
time.
England match you're talking?
England match, yeah.
Yeah, 2 p.m.
Yes.
Jamaican
So,
time.
so 2 p.m. Jamaica time, which is 12 p.m. my time. So what we're looking at 4.5 hours. So by time, no, 5 hours, sorry, 5 hours, 7 o'clock. By time me ready for go to work tomorrow, the 5 hours before the game, the full English 11 starting lineup is out. Bet. Just bet.
I saw
When,
they I saw,
when
what I saw they released it very early the last time.
hey,
Because normally teams
but
release it 1 hour before a game
one
time.
hour before,
Last
even
game against US they released it around over one and a half hour to come to two. Basically
listen to
two
me.
hours.
By the time I drive out from
They
my
released it early the
apartment
last
tomorrow,
time.
for go work, English team are release. English 11 are going to release.
They did
Just watch.
release it early the last time. Your final
Just
minute,
watch.
Mr. Goor himself, Rohan.
It's good, Josh, that on match day 3 we have so many teams still in with chances of qualifying. I
Makes
think
the World Cup exciting.
it is, and you'll have the never ending debate as to the quality or the lack thereof. But in terms of sheer anticipation, excitement, drama, it has been filled with it, and I think tomorrow will be no
No different.
a plethora of goals early. Um,
I notice all the groups are like that. All the groups will end with at least one game. That will determine who comes basically second.
Precisely, and in the case of the group with Senegal and the Dutch and Ecuador, they're still jostling for who
Right.
wins the first place, because teams are trying to avoid teams. But especially when you look at the two groups that we have discussed, they're going to have matches tomorrow. I think there aren't any team, because I'm not thinking that England would be afraid of the Netherlands, and I'm thinking the Dutch wouldn't be afraid of
Agreed.
England
Yeah.
either, because while England impressed on match day 1, they fluffed their lines on match day 2 against the US. Albeit the US, I think, raised their game. But it should be fascinating tomorrow, Josh. And what will be interesting is what um, are the teams going to be, or which teams are going to be the ones still in the World Cup tomorrow when we discuss this. Because,
Yes.
because I know the USD have been building up for this game, and which better game or which worse game for to decide their future in the
Yeah, they have
tournament.
been building up. In fact, they have been disrespecting the Iranian flag. That's how much they are building up.
But this is my last thing to say. I think I've been impressed by the Ecuadorians. I think they can lead on another marker, and it's a team that has really I think one over a number of neutrals, because as you mentioned,
They
because
have won me over. In fact,
with
if
the
they finish second in the group and play England in the round of 16, that game can go either way.
with the with proliferation of blacks in that team, like we have almost identified with them, right?
Yeah.
As your second team, the way how they play, the passion, and they embody what you consider to be the whole team ethos. There is no, or from this distance, there doesn't appear to me at any rate that there is any ego in that team. Just players working together in unison, and I would be happy if they're the team that puts Senegal out, then so be it. But I would be even happier if they actually top the group, because I think they have really won me over.
Me as well. So, guys, thank you for that lovely analysis regarding our review and preview shows that Mr. Ham himself and Sharon Banton. Big up to the guys in our comment section. At one time we had over 22 persons on stream. So big up guys for sticking with us throughout the night. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, 9 p.m. with the review for tomorrow's fixtures as well as the preview for Wednesday. So until then, enjoy the rest of your night, guys. And just remember that our sponsorship, Let's Get Medical, they're located at Shop 5 Mandeville Plaza. That's Juicy Plaza, sorry. Also in Santa Cruz and Montego Bay. So I will end this broadcast by playing our sponsorship ad. So see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your night.